Before the program, he was very much into his addiction. Many overdoses, many times where, we almost lost him.
He says, I'm a convicted felon, so he says, I don't carry a weapon with me. But he says, I know where a weapon's at. So he says, I was going to get in my car. And he says, I was gonna go across and I was gonna get my weapon. And he says, I was gonna come back and I was gonna shoot him and kill him. And he says, as I was driving to get my weapon, I started remembering about what you're talking about in this class. And he says, I didn't go back.
I was surprised when I saw some of the people who were using the services that I knew, like from different parts of my life, and was like, oh, I had no idea. Like, that's great. That's part of what Aware wants, is for people to have no idea. But honestly, the thing that really keeps me going is the fact that I needed this and it was here for me. I'm gonna get emotional. Because it was hard.
It's critically important that people have stable housing. It really is the gateway to everything else in terms of economic self-reliance, which is really the agency's focus, is how do we move families to economic self-reliance and get people to the place where they don't need our services or supports. But it starts with making sure basic needs are met, so food, clothing, shelter, and safety.
Specifically at Twin Oaks Shelter, our goal is to move them from emergency shelter situation to a permanent housing situation. We don't want people to go back to being homeless over and over and over again. We love them when they come back to visit at Twin Oaks when they're successful, but we don't want them to come back because they're homeless again. So the goal is to provide stability at the shelter and provide them the tools and support to reach that final destination of permanent housing.
Without Twin Oaks Shelter serving both Rock and Walworth counties, the homeless issue in this community in our communities that we serve, would be significantly greater.
When they showed us to our room, I was surprised. Our room was so big. Like, it was bigger than the apartment I was living in before. My baby had her own crib. My two other children, they had a bunk bed. I had my own bed. We had our own bathroom. We had our own closet. We had our own dressers. It was just, I went from being really sad and uncertain about the future to having other people be hopeful for me, which gave me hope and made me want to do more for myself, because I didn't really think I could do anything.
Weatherization has a huge part in the fight against poverty, and I say that because living in a comfortable home that's energy efficient is a huge piece to that. Being able to make these homes more energy efficient and less expensive to families is a huge deal. Like, energy prices in themselves are rising. So I would say that it's kind of difficult for it to be more affordable, but it's definitely reducing the amount of energy that they're using so they're not spending as much. After school, I would come home and there were several community action vehicles in the driveway, and they were there actually doing the weatherization work at the time. And my room was in the attic. It was partially finished. I was able to utilize it as a bedroom. Lo and behold, none of the walls were insulated, and I had some windows that needed some air sealing. So I was not able to sleep in that room during the winter months. And the very next winter after weatherization, I was actually able to sleep in that room moving forward, because then it had been insulated and we added those air sealing measures to the windows. I was that child that was once in these different programs receiving the assistance, and now I get to be the individual that's providing those resources to families. And I think that's the biggest piece, is I'm actually able to give back to the community that served me. And that sits near and dear to my heart. It's something I worked really hard for.
Aware was started in 1998 by Julie Hermanson, and her goal was to support low-income families in Evansville.
Aware has definitely made it so my kids, as I said before, get the little things that most people don't think about.
Figure out what can we do to support these kids so that they can show up on the first day of school with the supplies they need. And then it became, what do we do to help them over the weekend when they don't have access to free lunch? and they're not going to have a great Christmas. What can we do? You know, so the vision is really to provide a little bit, I always think of it like helping somebody get across the bridge, you know, like we're just going to give you a little like extra carry over.
I would say everything that I have ever done with Aware, everything that they have ever helped with has made it so many of us in the community can do the things that are helpful to our children and help make our kids' lives better and our lives easier and better.
My son went to multiple different daycares, and when we came to this one, there was just something about it that felt different.
I feel like there's a lot of parents that come in and they are really happy that their kids are here. They're able to go away and go to work, you know, just knowing that their children are in a safe environment.
I just saw how much they loved her and loved my son, and that's all you want as a parent. Every child's different, and you have to have a relationship with each individual child, because you just can't have things across the board the same, because every kid has different abilities, different things they need. You don't know what they're coming from, especially working here. We have a lot of kids who don't have a great home life or come from foster care, and you got to really build the relationship in order to meet them where they're at.
The importance of learning literacy and early learning and closing the achievement gap, and closing some of the income gaps, making sure all kids have the opportunity to start school ready is really important. So I think as we continue to do that work, we're getting ready to open a new child care facility here in Beloit. As I think about that work, we talk about serving our most vulnerable populations and making sure that they have a good start. I don't know that there's any work that's more important or more groundbreaking or that'll continue to be.
I wouldn't have thought that I would be able to participate or like help out in building a house, especially for like to give out to the community. I never actually touched tools like that. I know I did just building, I think it was building like a bird house or something, but it was like going from like building a bird house to building like a big house basically.
Fresh Start is a groundbreaking program that the city of Beloit and the community in Beloit desperately needed in terms of offering alternative opportunities for students in terms of education and training, students that were falling through the cracks in traditional classroom settings.
So my dad never got to graduate. He chose to basically, you know, take the role, start working for me and my mother, because my dad was 15 when he had me. He was very young, and my mom was 18. He had just turned 18 because my mom's birthday is like a day apart from mine. So she had just turned 18, and my mom actually got the opportunity to graduate. So knowing that I wasn't gonna graduate, it took a big impact, and I really did like sit down and really think to myself, and I was like, I can't do this to them, like I can't not graduate for them, especially being their oldest. So that's why, you know, I made the change, and at graduation it just like felt like it was, surprisingly I didn't cry, but my mom did cry to me. She was crying that happy that she was happy knowing that I did graduate, I did make it, and I didn't give up on myself or on my education. So
I think it impacts everybody differently, but I have seen some youth that will come up and say hi to me in the community and talk about the things that they learned and have the conversation with their peers.
Most of the things that people do in life aren't very safe or positive things to do, and you should really be careful on what you do.
We've had a few students reach out when they've had situations that they were scared that a possible pregnancy might occur, and we've been able to help get them resources. I know of a few students that have actually gone to get tested after participating in our classes. And actually, we've had a few students that have actually come to us that were in situations that required being reported to authorities, but they felt comfortable to come and ask us for that support to help get them to the people that could help them. So I think it plays a major role in the community because it's empowering the youth to know that there's trusted people out there that they can get help from, they can get the resources, and that there are those resources out there, and they don't have to go through those tough situations by themselves. With the adolescent health outreach programs, we have a few different things that we do. We have our personal responsibility education program, or PREP, and with that we go into 7 school districts in Rock County. We see about 600 to 700 students a year, and we do a curriculum called Making Proud Choices, and that's 13 lessons, and we teach them everything from healthy relationships, pregnancy prevention, STI education, and how to say no to specifically sexually related situations, but it could be used for any situation. Our overall objective is just to educate the community on STI rates in the county because we have a pretty high STI rate. It's actually higher than the state average. And also how to build healthy relationships and how to help youth transition into adulthood and be successful as they become adults.
Well, first and foremost, we're a job training program. That is first and foremost our goal, is to get participants to get their job, to get employment. Getting a job is one thing, keeping the job is another challenge. But what we're seeing more and more is that participants have mental health issues, they have often substance abuse issues. 86% of our participants have a criminal history and trauma that has been entailed in their life. And so it's kind of like a simple question for us is, why don't they just get a job? Why don't they just get a job? This is why they don't just get a job, because of the mental health issues, because of the substance abuse, because of the criminal involvement, because of the trauma that they've gone through their life. You know, and at some point you just need to get to that position where you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then you want to make a change. And then all you have to do with that is just give them the opportunity. And sometimes they don't get the opportunity. And so by facilitating an opportunity where they can get the opportunity, they can do wonderful things. And Enoch came and he showed us, he's got a big wad of keys like this. And he says, I'm a convicted felon. He says, I got a key to every single lock in this building. He says, I got a key to the plant manager's office. And he says, not only do I have a key, they know me by name. He says, I'm a convicted felon. He says, I'm the first person in the plant in the morning, at 4:30 in the morning. I arrived there. He said, they gave me the alarm code. And he says, on top of that, he says, I'm making a band a week. And it's legal.
I motivate people, man, like, especially the people I meet from this program or whatever. I let them know, like, yeah, I'm the one he talking about. They like, so then they be like, dang, they used to me from another person. You know what I'm saying? He talking about you? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's just a good feeling to know, like, people know that you change and you change for the better. You know what I'm saying? Your kids can see it as they grow up, like, 'cause I still got kids, little kids, so now they can see, like, okay, they don't know the other side of me, like the street dad, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, now they can see the legit dad. He's doing good things. He's making good money. Woo. That's all they gotta know. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good feeling just to know that even my kids can grow up and be proud of me in a different way. You know what I'm saying?
people can always support us financially, which we greatly appreciate. We're a nonprofit organization, and people have to understand that every dollar makes a difference. So if you're able to support us financially, we really, really appreciate it. If not, then just being an advocate and supporter and being an ambassador for community action and, speaking positively about the agency, making referrals to people who need the assistance and support. But just supporting our mission and vision by the things that you do in the community and the things that you say in the community. Volunteering for the agency if you have time and energy to do so in any of our programs or services is always really helpful. So that's just 3 ways. You can use your voice, you can use your body and volunteer, or you can, use the financial resources or human resources that you have and either connect us to people who can help support us or support us yourself.
Join us in making a difference today. Donate, support, or volunteer by visiting community-action.org. Learn more about our various programs and all that we have to offer.